Good afternoon, Bay Nation. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bay. I'm your host, Mike Williams, and here's my co-host, Geoffrey.
Good afternoon, Bay Nation.
In this episode, we'll be going over the NFC West. And for those of you who don't remember, that is the Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals. I'll be going over all the things that happened during the offseason. Ads, drops, trades. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you get all notifications for my videos. Let's start with the 49ers. Geoffrey, take us down to the stadium.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Up first, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Let's get it started. All right, Geoffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
So there's only one major change for the coaching position, and that is the offensive coordinator is now Mike McDaniels. Honestly, I don't think this is going to change very much because everybody knows who's calling the shots. It's Kyle Shanahan. It's his offense. He's going to be calling the shots, so the offensive coordinator, it's not going to change much.
Quarterbacks.
Jimmy Garoppolo is still there, but the 49ers have selected Trey Lance with the 3rd overall pick in the draft, and I'm extremely excited to see what this kid can do. He's very versatile. He's got a nice arm, and he runs with his legs, and everybody knows that is the key to fantasy success for quarterbacks. You don't have to throw a lot of yards if you can run for him. As of right now, I don't believe that he's going to be the starter, but moving closer and closer to the season, I do think that he will be starting at some point in this year. It may not be in game 1, but by the middle to the end of the year, unless they're dominating, he'll be in there. You don't just pick a quarterback 3rd overall so he can sit on the bench for a year and a half.
Wide receivers.
Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are both very talented wide receivers. Deebo Samuel deals with injuries a lot, though. He dealt with them in high school, college, now the pros. I like Deebo Samuel. If he can stay on the field, I think he's a great receiver, but haven't been able to do that recently. And Brandon Ayuk had a fantastic year last year. He came on towards the end of the year, and he's been balling ever since. I think that he's a solid draft pick.
Running backs.
Raheem Mostert is the starting running back for now. But Trey Sermon out of Ohio State, drafted in the 3rd round, very talented running back. I definitely think that he will have a role in this offense, and Raheem Mostert does have a history of getting injured.
Tight ends.
George Kittle is a top 3 tight end, and he's absolutely incredible. Do not sleep on George Kittle. He's going to be going towards the end of the 2nd round, and I think that's a nice sweet spot. 2nd round, early 3rd round, it's a steal taking him there. You're going to have an advantage over the rest of your league because they're going to be dealing with tight ends that suck, and you have an elite tight end that is basically the wide receiver 1 for that offense. All right, let me give you a quick rundown on what I think about these players in fantasy. Jimmy Garoppolo, no thank you. Trey Lance is one of my favorite last round picks. Absolutely grab him up. Wide receiver position, I definitely favor Brandon Ayuk over Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel's a great receiver, but I need my receivers to be healthy. Next, we have the running back position. Raheem Mostert is going extremely late in drafts, and I still think that he's going to be relevant for at least the beginning part of the season. Now, I do think that Trey Sermon is a solid grab as well late, but I think Raheem Mostert is going to be the starter at the beginning of the year. And then George Kittle, in my personal opinion, is a must grab in the top 3 rounds. If you get to the 3rd round and you see George Kittle there, he's an insta grab. And even considered towards the end of the 2nd round. All right, Geoffrey, on to the next one.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Let's get it started. All right, Geoffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
There was one coaching change to the Seattle Seahawks. Brian Schottenheimer is no longer there. He got fired. Even though they had a fantastic offensive year, Pete Carroll wanted them to run the ball more, and they just had a differing of opinions on how the offense should be run. So out goes Brian Schottenheimer. In comes Shane Walden. Shane Walden wants a more up-tempo offense, which Russell Wilson seems to like, but I do believe that they're going to run the ball more this year than they did last year, for sure.
Quarterbacks.
Moving on to Russell Wilson, he's an absolute beast, and he seems to like this pick. He was involved in the process of hiring Shane Walden, so I think that he's going to be happy moving forward. Hopefully he stays a Seahawk.
Wide receivers.
DK Metcalf is an impressive player and no real major moves for him during the offseason. Moving on to Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett got paid! My God! 4 years, $69 million. That's what I'm talking about. Don't forget, follow the money. Tyler Lockett is now the 10th highest paid wide receiver in the league. They are going to get him the ball. I know that they want to run first, but Tyler Lockett is going to get some work in this year. Now, mind you, he tends to ebb and flow, but if you have him as a wide receiver 3, I think that that's the perfect spot for him. But you're not going to like all the games. If you have him as a wide receiver 2, he's definitely going to disappoint you on a week-to-week basis. But if you're not relying on him as one of your top receivers and he's a flex play, it'll be a lot easier pill to swallow.
Running backs.
Chris Carson re-signed for 2 years, $10.4 million. That's not a bad deal for a running back. I do think that he's going to be involved. If Rashad Penny ever gets healthy, I do think that he will also be involved. Chris Carson is definitely the leader in this backfield, and I think it's a solid grab in the late 3rd round.
Tight ends.
And at the tight end position, the team added Gerald Everett for a 1-year, $6 million deal. I'm interested to see how he plays out in this offense. He is a good athlete, and I do think that Russell Wilson will utilize him. So I'm very curious to see how the beginning of the year starts, because he could be an early waiver wire pick. All right, let me give a quick summary of my opinion on where all these players are going and how I like them. Russell Wilson is an incredible quarterback, and I think that he's going about where he should. Around the 6th round, I think that's fair value for him. I think you can grab him right after Dak Prescott and before Justin Herbert. Next, DK Metcalf is one of the top 10 wide receivers in the league, and he's being drafted as such. I think anywhere past wide receiver 5, you're getting a solid deal. Tyler Lockett, if you can get him as your wide receiver 3, I like it. If you get him as a wide receiver 2, I'm less happy about it. You don't want to rely on somebody that ebbs and flows like that. I like Chris Carson. Grabbing him in the 3rd round is fairly solid. And if you're trying to take a flyer, I guess Rashad Penny, but he's been injured so many times, I'm really not trying to have him, to be honest with you. Tight end, Gerald Everett. I'm interested to see how he plays out in this offense. He is a good athlete, and I do think that Russell Wilson will utilize him. So I'm very curious to see how the beginning of the year starts, because he could be an early waiver wire pick. All right, Jeffrey, on to the next one.
Here we go.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Yes, sir.
What's going on with the stadium, man? Why is it not done? Like, they played there. It's totally done.
My satellites have not rotated to that part of the country recently. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Really, man? It's all good, Jeffrey. Don't worry about it. We're just going to go straight into the Los Angeles Rams breakdown. Let's get it started. All right, Jeffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
No major coaching changes. Next.
Quarterbacks.
The Rams traded for Matthew Stafford in the offseason, but what they had to give up was more than I expected. A 2021 3rd-round pick, a 2022 first-round pick, a 2023 first-round pick, and Jared Goff. The reason why the Detroit Lions got so much was they were taking on Jared Goff's outrageously large contract. And honestly, I think that this is a great move for both teams. The Lions are rebuilding, so they need draft picks. And the Rams are trying to win now. So I think that this is going to work out for both teams. Matthew Stafford on the Rams, I'm very excited to see what he can do with these receivers.
Wide receivers.
No real changes here. Cooper Kupp's an absolute beast, as well as Robert Woods. They're both incredible. Draft them. Trust me. They're very good, and Matthew Stafford is going to sling it. They also added Deshaun Jackson, 1 year, $4.5 million. If he can stay healthy, I like him as a deep threat, but I don't think that he's going to be fantasy relevant. Can't stay healthy.
Running backs.
Unfortunately, Cam Akers tore his Achilles this year, and he's going to be out all year. For more detail, check out my injury report. But moving forward, Darrell Henderson is going to be taking his spot. Darrell Henderson is going to be the #1 running back, but I definitely see Sean McVay mixing in some other running backs to spell him. Darrell Henderson's been getting injured, and the coaching staff sees that they can't just give him all the work, because they've tried to do that and he got injured. And I definitely think that they're going to be working some other people in. But I still think he's a solid draft pick.
Tight ends.
Tight end position. Gerald Everett's going to the Seahawks, and that only leaves Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee is a solid tight end, and I definitely think that he is worth a grab this year. He's going very late. You can get him as one of the later picks in your draft, and I think that he's going to have a solid year. Matthew Stafford does like his tight ends. All right, a quick summary of the Rams this year. I think Matthew Stafford is one of the latest picks at quarterback you can get and still be solid for the year. Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback, and I love his receiving core. I think he's going to be a solid grab this year. Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are going next to each other, and I think they're going to be fantastic in fantasy this year. Grab them both. Maybe not on the same team. I like Cooper Kupp and I like Robert Woods at their ADP. And I actually think that they have a lot more upside than people are giving them credit for. Matthew Stafford is a much better quarterback than Jared Goff. Darrell Henderson, I think that he is a solid add where he's going. You would think that he would skyrocket towards the second to third round, but I'm seeing him go in the fourth and fifth round depending on the league size. So if you can get him towards the fourth or fifth round, I think that's a pretty solid grab. Sean McVay has a very good offense, and they love to use the running backs. I think Tyler Higbee is one of the best late round tight ends you can grab, so pick him up. All right, Geoffrey, on to the next one.
I'm on it, sir. Here we go.
Up next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. All right, Geoffrey, what's up first?
Coaches.
No major coaching changes. Next.
Quarterbacks.
Kyler Murray is a fantastic quarterback, but apparently if it was up to him, he would run less. He feels like his running should be used more as a luxury, not a necessity. I think there's a chance his rushing attempts decreases this year, which would decrease his fantasy value, but I do think that he can make a step forward with his arm as well. So I think it might balance each other out a little bit. Even if he runs less, I still think he's going to run more than 80% of the other quarterbacks in the league. So I think you're still getting a value, and he is a very talented quarterback with his arm as well. So it's not just his legs that give him value.
Wide receivers.
DeAndre Hopkins posted a tweet regarding the NFL policy on the COVID-19 vaccine, and he basically said it was making him question his future in the NFL. That tweet was soon taken down. That being said, I'm not sure if that's going to affect the future. As of right now, I'm assuming that he will play and they will work through any issues that come up. Next, we have Christian Kirk, who was in and out of practice recently, but it looks like he is practicing now and he's good. The team added AJ Green, 1 year, $6 million deal. Now, 5 years ago, this would have been a crazy trade, but AJ Green is closer to the end of his career than he is his prime, but I am curious if he has a little bit of juice left. I'm not going to lie to you, I root for AJ Green, so I'm really hoping that he has a solid year this year, but I'm not projecting him to do great. At best, he'd be a late round flyer.
Running backs.
Kenyon Drake is off the team, and in comes James Conner with a 1 year, $1.75 million deal. That is not very much. So one thing that I like to tell people is follow the money. They did not pay him very much. This is clearly a prove-it deal. We need you to perform, and then maybe he'll get a contract next year. But it doesn't make me think that he's guaranteed lead back in all situations. I definitely think it's going to be a shared backfield between him and Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is a great pass-catching back, but the team never uses him within 5 yards and in. So I think that that's where James Conner comes in. James Conner is going to be the goal line back and probably the bruiser, whereas Chase Edmonds will be more of the third down kind of back. Yes, I do think that he gets some rushes, but I definitely think that he is the one utilized in the receiving game.
Tight ends.
And the Cardinals don't use their tight end for fantasy purposes. He's not useful. Alright, so let me give you a quick summary of what I think fantasy-wise. Kyler Murray is a solid grab in the 4th or 5th round. I definitely think that he's good where he's going there. Next, we have the wide receiver position. DeAndre Hopkins is an absolute beast. Grab him at the top of the 2nd round. And sometimes you can get him in the middle of the 2nd round. Christian Kirk, I'm not really excited about. And AJ Green would be a late round flyer at best. Running back position, James Conner is going super late. So I actually think that you can grab James Conner because I think he's going in like the 8th, 9th round. I don't think he's going to be a dominant back, and he's definitely injury prone, but I could see why you would want to add him as a speculative deep running back. Chase Edmonds, on the other hand, I definitely think in a PPR league, he is a viable add. He should be good this year. I don't think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns because they're not going to run him close to the end zone. And you have Kyler Murray that's going to run into the end zone. But I do think in full PPR, he's definitely worth an ad. And this is going to do it for the NFC West. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my other division breakdowns. Anything you want to say, Geoffrey?
See you soon, Bay Nation.
All right, I'll see you next time. Peace.